hi everyone. We did the refrigeration cycle last week, and I'm the reporter for the lab. So for the objectives, we will be performing a thermodynamic analysis on the heat pump. Second one, we'll be measuring the coefficient of performance. Third one, we will be describing the vapor compression refrigeration cycle and the pH diagram. So for the vapor compression refrigeration cycle, which is commonly used in our cooling and heating systems, some applications are air conditioning systems, refrigerators, and industrial cooling processes. There are 4 components for the cycle. First, we have the compressor, condenser, expansion, and evaporator. We will start with the compressor. We will compress the refrigerant R34A, compress it, raising its temperature, as seen in the graph right here. Then we will go to the condenser. We will condense the refrigerant, decreasing the temperature and pressure a little bit. Then we will go to the expansion valves, which will decrease the pressure first, and in turn decrease the temperature. And lastly, we will go to the evaporator, which increases the entropy of the system. So for this image right here, the yellows are your refrigerants, and the blue lines are your water. And in the evaporator, well, you'll have your cooling and condenser heating. So the theory behind coefficient of performance, we will be using thermodynamics, the principles of thermodynamics and heat transfer to solve for the coefficients. It is the ratio of your output divided by input. There's actually 2 more equations for that. It's the ratio of the magnitude of the desired commodity to the magnitude of the expenditures. Another equation is using the enthalpy from the pressure enthalpy graph. It is H1 minus H4 divided by H2 minus H1. Yes. And our next slide is the thermal expansion valve. The thermal expansion valve is the most important component in the refrigerating cycle because it controls how much refrigerant can be in the system. It controls the flow of the refrigerant into the evaporated coil in response to varying cooling load and temperatures conditions in the system. It also helps to maintain and contain the efficiency of the cooling while preventing overcooling and inefficient operations. And the most important component of the expansion valve is the sensing bulb right here. It's the important component due to its high sensitivity temperature sensor. It measures the temperature, like how much it senses the temperature of the refrigerant in the outlet. It'll affect the COP, and it'll tell you how effective and efficient the system is. So for our data, the power at the full water flow rate at 5, the power consumed is 390 watts. Temperature at the inlet, 23.3. Temperature at the outlet, 27. Next slide. So for solving the coefficient of performance, we'll be using the Q over work, and it'll equals to the mass flow rate times the capacitance of the water times the difference in temperature over work. We solved that for the 5 milliliter of 5 flow rate. We get 3.28 for the coefficient COP, and I did some more calculations. So as we decrease the mass flow rate, the COP also decreases. But when we increase, it's vice versa. Increase the mass flow rate, and the COP will also increase. And here's some more comparisons for 6, 4.5, and 3 mass flow rates. It's for the first two it's the same, but for the cooling temperature at the inlet of the compressor, it decreases over time. When you decrease the mass flow rate. Next slide. And sources of error. The equilibrium, we have to wait for the equilibrium to set. The sensor errors. There was one time where we were telling the valve for Devin, we were waiting for him, he was turning it, and on the computer it wasn't really changing anything. And lastly, human error. Questions?